month of May was such a good reading month for me, and I am so excited to unveil all the books that I read and what I rated them. Hi, my name's Molly. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be discussing the 13 books that I read in May and the 6 books that I hope to read in June. So the month of May was absolutely incredible for me. Not only did I go on a 7-day all-inclusive holiday to Turkey, I also ended up going to Hay-on-Wye for a 3-night weekend with my girls, and it was incredible. As a result, I had so much opportunity to read. I came across a new favourite author/series. And my ratings overall were pretty damn high. I'm so excited to dive into all the books that I read, so let's get into it. Now, although No Mercy is considered more of a light dark romance, Axel and Eva's story is not to go unnoticed. Eva is a personal investigator, which means she has always been used to a dangerous life, but it has never gotten personal until now. When she takes a high-risk job following a mafia family, she finds herself in a position where she is a lot more vulnerable than she likes to be. What she doesn't know is that the obsessive enforcer of this mafia family has been watching her every move, and he is obsessed with her. Axel's hidden feelings grow into fierce love, the stakes skyrocket between the two, and all of a sudden, he is taken captive. There is passion, betrayal, trust issues. There is so much going on in this book. It is only 259 pages. So if you're looking for a super quick, gritty read, then I highly recommend this one. I rated this a 4-star. The next book is very controversial, and I got to read it early thanks to Amazon First Reads, and that is Death Row by Freida McFadden. This is Freida McFadden's most recent short read, and although this book is only 73 pages, it certainly packs a punch. This book follows Talia Kemper, who is on death row for murdering her husband. She is adamant that she is not guilty for the crime. And then one day in the visiting area, she notices a man on the other end of the room she is certain is her dead husband. I mean, if that was me, then I don't know what I would do. This book is so twisty. The ending made me sad. It's definitely one of those reads where you read it at the end and then you have to reread the last few chapters because you just need to understand again what the author's trying to portray. It's a twist that's definitely not being taken lightly by the fans of Freida McFadden. A lot of people don't really understand where she was going with it, and there has been a bit of debate. I personally really enjoyed it, and I do feel like the story is underrated for what it was. I feel like that kind of twist is a really clever writing style. I personally really enjoyed it. But hey, I'm also here for the negative reviews as well. I love that we all have different opinions, so let me know if you've read this one, what you thought down below. Now, the next book I loved so much. You will have seen this in my most recent video, and that is Lost and Lassoed by Lyla Sage. Single dad, cowboy romance, forced proximity, spicy. This book was just everything. It follows our main character, Gus Ryder. He is a hard-working single dad cowboy. He is very stubborn, and he underestimates how much he would benefit from support from looking after his daughter. Then steps in Teddy Anderson. I love this girl so much. She's such a good female main character. Teddy literally thrives in chaos. The job of babysitting is the perfect role for her. Gus Ryder now has the support that he needs for his busy lifestyle. The only issue is they absolutely hate each other. Cue the enemies to lovers. The tension in this book is fire. There is spice, forced proximity, single parent trope, which is by far my favourite. As I've mentioned previously, this is the 3rd in a series but can be read as a standalone. However, if you are going to read the series, I recommend reading it in order. Highly recommend this one. Of course, it was a 5-star. The next book that I'm going to talk about is actually the 1st in the series, but I managed to read the first 3 in the series during the month of May, so I'm going to talk about them as a collective. And that is the Perfectly Imperfect series by Neva. I managed to read both book 1, 2 and 3. I managed to read Painted Scars, Broken Whispers and Hidden Truths. Painted Scars I rated a 4.5, Broken Whispers I rated a 5-star, and Hidden Truths was also another 4.5 star. This might genuinely be my new favourite mafia romance series ever. They're all on Kindle Unlimited and they are under 300 pages each. They're so bingeable and so juicy. So much goes on in the plot in so little amount of pages. It's just delightful. I will talk about this series for the end of time. I believe so far there's 9 books in the series and I think there's a 10th coming out soon. But overall, I cannot recommend this enough if you guys are looking for your dark enemies to lovers mafia romance series with arranged marriage, forced proximity, brother's best friend, all of that going on. So good, and it also has really good disability rep in it as well. Chef's kiss. The next one was a really exciting anticipated release for me, and that was The Tenant by Freida McFadden. I read this by the poolside on holiday, and it was a buddy read with my partner Dan, and although it wasn't our favourite Freida McFadden ever, it was a really enjoyable read. Now, as the title suggests, this book follows a tenant that moves into the house of Blake Porter and his wife. He is fired abruptly from his job, and as a result of not being able to make the mortgage payments, they decide to have a tenant move into their home to help them make their life a bit easier. But making their life easier is the last thing that she did. Whitney is considered a beautiful, charming, down-to-earth woman, simply looking for a room to rent, and here comes Blake Porter and his wife. It sounds ultimately like the dream match, but it definitely isn't that. Things start to take a turn, certain creepy things start going on, and Blake doesn't know what is going on. Now, this one was a bit predictable at times, but I feel like the overall twist was really good and I didn't expect it. Freida McFadden is really known for her easy writing style, which makes everyone grip from the start, and it doesn't take too much brain power to really get into her books. If you're ever looking for a really good popcorn thriller, then I'll always recommend Freida's work, and this is definitely one not to be missed. I've seen certain people that don't even like Freida's work enjoy this one, so I do recommend you give it a try if you're curious, and overall it was a really solid 4-star. Now, the next one was Sweet Taste of Betrayal by Harleigh Beck was absolutely wild. Now, this was an erotic novella horror. It was 88 pages, but it packed a punch for sure. I highly suggest you look at the trigger warnings before you even consider picking this one up. Harleigh Beck is very much known for her dark romance, but Christ. This one is set in a rented log cabin in the woods, and it is set around one night where a group of teens go to the cabin to celebrate their friend's 18th birthday. There have been rumours that around this log cabin, 3 masked men come out of the trees only once a year to claim the blood of young souls. And of course, being the teenagers that they are, they want to know if that's a myth or if it's true. I don't know about you, but if that was me, I'd be running the opposite direction. There are so many graphic scenes in here. Some of them I enjoyed, but some of them were very intense. It also took quite a weird sci-fi turn that I wasn't expecting, but I actually really enjoyed it. Overall, this was a 4-star, and I do really enjoy Harleigh Beck's work. It's just not for the faint of hearted. And again, please look at the trigger warnings before you go into it. Fearless by Lauren Roberts was another 4-star for me in the month of May, and although I enjoyed it, I didn't enjoy it as much as the others. I much preferred the others in the series in comparison to this one. It just felt a bit long-winded. I do really enjoy the characters, and I love the romance between 2 particular characters in this book, and the twists were good. I can't go into too much detail as it is the 3rd in a series, but if you haven't already, I do highly recommend the first one. Powerless by Lauren Roberts was a 5-star for me last year, perfect for fans of The Hunger Games and Red Queen for sure. Breaking the Pucking Rules by Tracy Lorraine releases on July 31st, and I am so excited for everyone to be able to read this. Now, of course, a perk of my job is that I get to read Tracy's books early, and my god, am I grateful to have read this one sooner. This is a sports romance. This is an ice hockey sports romance. Single parent, forbidden trope. It was delectable. The spicy scenes in this were top tier, and it is quite frankly one of my favourite books that Tracy's ever written. Sutton is Cody Rivers' daughter. She is an absolute character. I love her so much. She is sassy, she is quirky. She is not to be underestimated, and I loved her relationship with Cody so much. Then Casey Watson walks into their lives. Our whole world just turned upside down. It is so good. I can't recommend it enough. The next book is one that I've heard everybody tell me I have to read, and that is Out on a Limb by Hannah Boynam Young. I bought this book from the works for £2.50 over a year and a half ago, and I just had it sat on my shelf collecting dust, and I just hadn't had any energy to pick it up. I then decided one day on a commute down to work that I would listen to the audiobook, and I'm so glad that I did. This is easily one of those romances that just has something to say, gives you an amazing storyline and message, and just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside, you know? It follows Win and Beau, who meet at a Halloween party. Both have their own disabilities, and after a one-night stand, Win finds herself full pregnant. Now, I'm not one of those surprise pregnancy trope fans, but this one was done really well. I would simply just read 500 pages of Win and Beau's connection, because their banter, communication, and just their entire connection is so bloody lovely. It was a joy to read. Watching the pair of them embark on this new life journey together was so gorgeous and just really heartwarming. I loved it so much. Again, another solid 4-star. It was adorable. Definitely one I wish I'd read sooner. My Sister's Shadow by Danielle J J is an arc that I got to read in advance. Danielle J is a lovely new debut author, and I'm so proud of her for releasing her first psychological thriller. This was so creepy, you guys. I read this on my travels in Hay on Wye, and I believe it only took me a couple of sittings to read it in full. It follows our main character Jake, who returns to his hometown following the death of his father. He refuses to leave until he finds out the truth behind the disappearance of his sister all those years ago. Cue the lies, the betrayals, the twists, the secrets, the deception. There's a lot to unpack on this one. I rated it in total of 3.5, and I think that's mainly because my little brain couldn't cope with all the characters. The actual storyline and plot of this one was so well executed, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And my last book for the month of May was an absolute headache in itself. I read this on FaceTime over the course of 4 hours with my friends Shauna and Shannon, and we all felt the same after reading this book, and that is Hell House by Richard Matheson. If I found out that there was a haunted house that people had not gone to since somebody almost got unalive there, safe to say if I was asked if I wanted to go to that said place, I would say no. It wouldn't take much for me to just decline. However, apparently a group of people thought it was smart enough to go and venture and see if this was all true or hocus pocus, and what lurks in Hell House is certainly interesting. Now, for historical horror, this was very sexual. A lot of the time, too sexual for me to really understand why. It just didn't make sense. I have got to give it to it though, it was a really easy read. I was really concerned for the writing style, but actually found it was really gripping. And I mean, we managed to read it in one sitting, so that says something in itself. One critique I would say for it though, so much happens at the end, we all just felt confused. Not really sure what that ending was, and we all had a weird headache afterwards. Definitely an interesting read. I feel like if we'd have read it all separately and over time, we probably would either have rated it a lot lower or we would have DNF'd it. But for the experience that we had over on FaceTime, we all rated it a 3-star. It was just wild, wacky, and somewhat entertaining. So those are all the books that I managed to read in June. Definitely a mixed bag, crazy selection, but I actually really enjoyed them, and I had some great reads in there, some new favourites too. And then comes all the books that I'm excited to read in June. Granted, because I haven't got any holidays this month, I have to be a lot more realistic about how much I'll get read. But I also want to hold myself accountable and make sure that when I am reading, I'm reading books that I really want to get through. So I've chosen 6 books off my shelves of what I would highly like to prioritise this month. Starting with Any Trope But You by Victoria Levine. This is the gorgeous Afterlight exclusive. I am so obsessed with this cover. The sprayed edges are stunning. And this follows an author who goes on a writing retreat in a cabin, comes across a lumberjack, romance starts to bloom, and then they're snowed in a cabin. Top tier. Only issue about this romance author is she doesn't actually believe in love, but then starts to actually live out her own love story. Ironic, really, isn't it? This edition has the most gorgeous artwork, and I'm so excited to read it. And my main reason for wanting to pick this one up this month is because I've told myself in order to continue my subscription, I need to actually read the books each month I receive. But I'm very excited to read this nonetheless. I think it's going to be a really good one. Next up is my book club pick for the month, and that is Live Ranch Love by Emma Lucy. I'm so excited to read this one. I've had this on my TBR for a hot minute, and when I saw that the girls in the book club voted for this one to be our pick for the month, I was not mad. This follows a wellness influencer who goes to sell a ranch and finds out that the head rancher is not all that impressed with that idea. So they decide to team up and make the ranch into a wellness retreat. Grumpy sunshine galore. I love the cover of this one. It looks so up my street, and I'm very excited to get to it. God of Malice by Rena Kent is being read this month, and I am so excited and nervous to start my Legacy of God series. Rena Kent is well known for her dark romance titles, and as you know, I'm a dark romance girly. But can I consider myself that when I've not read a Rena Kent yet? Who knows, you tell me. Everyone talks about Killian Carson, and I'm so ready to meet him. I will be reading this as a part of my book vlog that I am actually filming this week that you'll see next week, so stay tuned for that if you want my non-spoiler free thoughts. Fragile Sanctuary by Catherine Cowles is a book that I have been seeing all over my social media. This is meant to be small town meets trauma, a bunch of representation, and it's meant to be the next best thing this summer. I did just recently get the box set of the first 4 books in the series, and these covers are absolutely divine. And we also just talk about how floppy this book is. I am so excited to dive straight into this one. And I might just have to take you guys on the journey with me on this one. So let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. The Club by Ellery Lloyd is a thriller that I'm planning to read with Shannon and Shauna this month. We are determined to read at least one book a month together. And this is one of those remote, ultra-exclusive clubs where only certain members can attend. And when guests start to arrive, the weekend starts to turn deadly, secrets start to come out, and it all just goes tits up. We are really excited to read this one, and I'm already super excited for another crazy discussion with the girls. And last but not least is The Pucking Wrong Number by C.R. Jane. Ever since I ordered this one, I've been so excited to pick it up. This is considered dark, cocky romance where a guy instantly becomes obsessed with the girl that he accidentally texts. And when I mean obsessed, he becomes obsessed. And despite the red flags that he is continuously giving, she can't help to crave how he makes her feel. The covers on these are absolutely gorgeous, and I fear as soon as I've started this, I'll just be buying the rest of the series immediately. I also love the artwork on this book, especially the one on the back. But I'm so excited to read this and get into my dark, cocky romance era. So they're all the books that I have read in the month of May and the books that I'm prioritising for the month of June. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any, which ones you're excited to hear my thoughts on. I would love to know what your current read is down below, and I hope you have another lovely week. Bye!